So, this one's gonna be about cooking, and it is gonna be about what cooking might have an effect on mental health and how you feel and all those things. But yeah, as always, there's gonna be more after the intro, so please stay on here or something. I don't know. But yeah, with that being said, hello, welcome back to the next episode of the Self-Development with Tactics podcast. And I really am happy to record this episode. I really am pumped for this episode. I've just went through 2 articles that I'm then gonna present to you. One is gonna be about something pretty cool in the whole innovation area, startup area, and the other one is gonna be about mental health, just because mental health is so dominant. Mental health is seen just like everywhere. Might be something that's good, might be something that's bad. I think it is actually good, because there's a lot of awareness on mental health at this point of time. And I think it is going to be even more and even better in the future. And it is something amazing because mental health has been something for such a long time that is something you weren't supposed to talk about. You weren't supposed to just get therapy, because if you get therapy, you're a fucking psychopath and all those things. Like it's complete bullshit. And a lot of really famous people, such as, for example, Seth Godin, they received therapy as well. He had cognitive behavioral therapy, which is also the one that we're going to talk about then. And he said it's amazing. And I think it's been like only 1 session or maybe 2 or something. And then his problem was solved, which is amazing, which really is incredibly amazing. But it's unfortunately just taking you a leap, because there's still a stigma around. There's still something around that you're not so supposed to be in therapy, in mental therapy. If it is about some physical thing, nobody gives a fuck about that, interestingly enough. But yeah, let's actually go through the articles. I think we're first of all going to go through the mental health part, and then we're going to go through just cooking and startups and whatnot. I've before actually also looked up kind of the most important skills in terms of cooking, and it is basically like everything. I would actually say knife skills, so being able to cut things relatively fast, I would say as well, which is then going to be, I think, pretty good, since being in the kitchen can sometimes actually be very stressful, unless you're actually having everything done beforehand, like you've cut everything and it's only about just mixing everything together and whatnot. But sometimes it actually can be quite stressful, at least at my point of view. And then when something burns and everything is fucked, like there's definitely also going to be negative sides. In this article, at least as how far as I've been going through it, it is more or less about the positive impacts on your mental health of cooking. Still, I believe there are some, but we're going to go through them right now. So, Can You Cook Your Way to Better Mental Health by Susan Krauss, Whiteborn PhD, Fulfillment at Any Age. Maybe it's a book, I guess so actually. And the link to both articles is going to be down in the description and also in the show notes, as well as some other articles to my social media pages and all the other things that you might be looking for. So please check these things out if you're looking forward to them. Going through old recipes, as they say, can basically connect yourself to just older days. So that digging back into those old family recipes can be a way to connect to your past. However, in a recent segment on culinary therapy airing on CNN's Weekend News edition of Staying Well, the claim was made that bringing your therapist into your kitchen coaching you as you chop your vegetables and fry your fish could produce significant mental health benefits by making you more mindful of your experience, which definitely is the case. And now we're actually going to talk about mindfulness, meditation, or being mindful. So when you pay attention to the details of what you're doing, you can stop a racing mind and quell your negative thoughts, which is actually not really a definition of being mindful. Just paying attention to whatever you're doing and just maybe even being present. But I think if you're paying real attention to whatever you're doing at this certain time, it is just undeniably going to lead you to being present, because you're focusing on whatever you're doing at this point of time, which is something amazing. It really is. On the other hand, I really believe that cooking might not only be about being mindful in terms of like what you're doing in the present and whatnot, but it's also going to be about cooking in general, in terms of healthier cooking and being able to cook healthy and just seeing what you're actually eating. Because I sometimes kind of feel like that people don't really know what they are eating all the time, especially like if you're eating a lot of already done food in terms of, okay, you're gonna just go to restaurants or McDonald's and whatever. You don't know how it is prepared, and you don't know what actually is in the food, to really be honest. So I don't know. I know it might also be just a pretty great way to kind of test how you can make good tasting stuff, which is hopefully then also going to be healthy, but I'm not quite sure. I do really think that if you're just going to restaurants, it's not going to be that healthy, I guess. Just because there's going to be a lot of salt, most of all, or most often. And there's also going to be a lot of, I think, fat as well, and like all different kinds of stuff. But I think there's going to be a part just in the, not really end of the whole thing, but just, Of course, in cognitive behavioral therapy, you're talking to your therapist, but you're not just lying on a couch and free associating. You receive concrete instructions to follow in homework, and you learn to modify your thoughts so that they become less counterproductive. So cognitive behavioral therapy is not about just because we've already gone through it on an episode as well, and it has actually been a really great episode. You should check it out. I might be linking it down in the description or in the show notes, but I'm never quite sure about that, But I try to do so. So cognitive behavioral therapy is not about just going to your therapist, lying down and just talking to them, and then that's it for your day. It is actually about changing the whole way how you are thinking, which is going to inevitably result in having homework, as they actually call it. I think it is actually an official term. I think they officially call it homework, which is something amazing at my point of view. I think it is something that might also be necessary for basically every type of therapy. But, I'm really not educated in that space. It's only just assumptions from me or by me or whatever. But it is amazing, having homework and just also maybe being mindful about the things that you should be doing or that you are doing in the therapy lessons when you're at home in your leisure time and whatnot. It makes sense, at least at my point of view, in my point of view. So people with diabetes, and now this is the right part, cardiovascular disease and cancer need to learn healthier ways to prepare their food, which is going to be less sodium, sugar and fat and higher amounts of fiber. Even though something that I do not really like, as I'm just reading it again, saying that fat is bad is not the truth, because we need fat to absorb vitamins, and it's crucial. It really is crucial, but it is about healthy fats from, for example, olive oil is a healthy fat, avocado is a healthy fat, nuts, of course, seeds, all those things, all those fatty things that are not processed, even though olive oil is processed, but, stick with avocado, even though or avocado actually. Suggesting to eat avocados and advising people to eat avocados is something that I'm really not trying to do, since it is definitely one of the things that's just taking so much water out of the system. I think one avocado, as I'm just Googling here, in these regions, 320 liters of water are required to grow one avocado. On average, about 283 liters of applied water are required to produce a kilogram of avocado, which is fucking nuts, which is amazingly a lot, which really is a lot. And this is also one of the reasons why I don't really like to, so as they say, because there are certain different kinds of avocados, it seems to be the case. There's one avocado, which is a quite regular one, and then there's one avocado petorca, which is, I think, from a different region. So avocado production requires a lot of water to begin with, but in the dry regions of Chile, I'm not quite sure, where most avocados for export are produced, avocado farming is especially water intensive. In these regions, 320 liters of water are required to grow one avocado. And on average, it's going to be 283 liters of applied water for a kilogram of avocado. And to just have some sort of a scale there, a regular avocado would take 70 liters, which is already such a lot. Compared to one tomato, it's 5 liters, which is, to really be honest, 5 liters is also quite a lot. One orange is 22 liters, and a human being is 50 to 100 liters a day. I'm, by the way, not so sure about that, since I'm it's definitely not going to be about drinking, but I think you're just having to use up 50 to 100 liters a day to exist, something like that, but I'm not quite sure. But let's head back to, so this is actually one of the reasons why I'm not suggesting to eat avocados. Like it's not good for the environment and all those things. And the last part of this one, additionally, the NIH team argues that cooking can help individuals gain in the ability to plan, so-called executive function, while evaluating a person's ability to cook can be diagnostically useful to understand any compromises to this planning ability of the brain. Positive mood, self-concept, and self-esteem in order to promote exchange of food and ideas is also one of the benefits. I'm not quite sure about that, since as I've been reading it and I've been going through it, I kind of felt like, well, there's always going to be just positive parts about quite everything, and there's also going to be just some negative parts about everything as well. If we're going to talk about having the ability to plan, yeah, it's going to be involved in cooking, and also just feeling the self-esteem and being just happier, because when you cook something and it is nice and people say it is nice, then you're going to feel good about it and whatnot. But in the end, like as I said, you can say something good about everything. But let's head into the whole startup scene. And it is actually a pretty interesting product, but I'm not quite sure if it is actually just kind of a really good one. It is about a pan that is made for doing everything with it. And it is going to basically replace, like, I think it's like 4 different items. Like 4 different items or 4 different cookware items are in this one pan. And this is an article by Fortune, and it is called "These Designers Created a Pan That Is Able to Replace Most of Your Cookware by Itself." And as always, it's going to be down in the description. And for all the YouTube watchers, on the left side of this picture, there is the pan. It actually looks kind of weird, to be honest. It looks like some kind of a ceramic item, but it is not. It's aluminium. So yeah, the word disrupt and the idea of disrupting darts around the startup. So you might have heard of disrupting the market, which is going to be, if this is working, and if this is something that people are going to buy, then it is going to be a disruption for the market. Probably, maybe, it's going to just change the market, as, for example, electric cars did, or maybe Tesla did with their electric cars explicitly. But every once in a while, a product emerges that actually has the potential to shake up an industry, and the Always Pan, as this thing is called, is actually doing so. Because if it would actually be working, if it is actually something that people want to have, then it's definitely going to change some things. Maybe then maybe it's actually going to be like some sort of a product that every single company is then going to make, if they are allowed to do so. I don't know, just because of copyrights or patents and all those things. But yeah, it's designed to replace almost an entire cookware set in the home kitchen. Deep enough to be a saucepan, wide enough to use as a frying pan, light enough to saute in, but heavy enough to fry in. It aims to work as well for cooking Western European dishes and cuisine, I think it's cuisine, isn't it? Of the Indian subcontinent. But there's something that might be the case, which is jack of all trades, master of none. Which is, to be honest, but I think there's actually a picture of it, yeah. So that you can have a look at it while I'm talking. I kind of feel like that it is probably going to be the case, but I'm not quite sure about it. Like, the idea is really good. I like the idea. I love the idea. But I'm not quite sure if it is actually going to be something that is working well, since it is actually something that's everything but nothing as well, which is going to be something that everyone maybe likes, but no one really loves, which is often the case with marketing and with having a product and with having a service that is meant for quite a lot of people. It's often just going to result in having something that not everyone loves, but everyone likes. Or no one loves and everyone likes. But yeah, I like the design, and we're also going to talk about the design later on, I think. So she saw the need for cookware that fits small kitchens and looked good on Instagram, which is kind of then the purpose for that. Like, of course, it is for small kitchens. And as you can also see on this picture, this is a small kitchen. It really is a small kitchen. And I think it is like, it's working well. As I'm just seeing it on this picture, it is just actually really deep, to really be honest. It really is. On the upper picture there, it doesn't look that deep. But yeah, and also kind of thinking about Instagram, yeah, it is very specific. It is for a very specific market if you're thinking about it. So it is for people that have a small kitchen, that only do just want to have one thing, and people that like aesthetical things, I guess. And people like things that look good, maybe on photos. Maybe the color just, not really. It is somehow white, as you can see here. Yeah, you can see. It is somehow... Maybe I can zoom in so that we can see it a little bit better. It is like white just inside of the pan, and outside of the pan is like such an... And for presenting things for Instagram, something that is actually in the background like a dark pan would actually be way better. Because if you're having a light pan in terms of white, in terms of those fleshy colors, in terms of skin colors, food doesn't look that nice in it because there's too low of a contrast. Maybe it is just the case for this particular thing, but often it is the case, or most often it is the case, that if you're just presenting something on a dark background, it pops way better than if you're presenting it on a white background. Of course, it's also going to depend on whatever it is, whether it is a design, whether it is just food and all those things. And it also depends on what you're cooking, like if it is something green, if it is something that's blue, whatever it might be. And it also depends on how you would like it to feel like, because the pan totally looks Instagrammy. Of course, it really does. Maybe it's just because of the design. Not so sure about the color, if this is just making the deal for me, but yeah. The Always Pan, the company's signature product, is presented as cookware for the multi-ethnic kitchen. Again, another thing that is somehow added to the target group, in my point of view, because it is also meant for being able to cook like just all different kinds of cuisines, which is amazing at my point of view, even though I'm actually not quite sure about that. If it is the case that you need different gear for being able to cook different things or different foods from different cultures. But people only have 4 burners on the stove top, which is actually a pretty good argument at my point of view, or a pretty good point at my point of view, because yeah, people only have 4 stoves, and if you're just in need of 200 different fucking items, it's not gonna work out that nice. The co-founders drew a Venn diagram of the different sizes and shapes of cookware from cuisines around the world, those used by both chefs and home cooks, and where all those circles intersected, they found their piece of art. They found their piece of product. The pan made from heavy gauge cast aluminium with a non-stick coating and backlight handle. But something really interesting now is they actually were able to raise $2.4 million from giants like FabFitFun, Will Smith, and the founders of brands such as Foodspotting, Tinder, and Sugarfina. Tinder, Will Smith, is amazing. Like, it really indeed is amazing. I noticed a growing fear of people who looked like me. Shahid, which is one of the co-founders, says, underscored as an immigrant and a woman of color in America, so she set out to combat that with her kitchenware company, which is also pretty nice at my point of view, you know, that it's not only about just making a profit, not only having about cool product, but also changing the culture and also just changing the way how maybe people think about certain things. So I don't know, I do not want to actually advertise this product or something, but I think it's a cool story. And as I said, the links to this article is going to be down in the description, also to the other article. But I guess that it is actually going to be the end of the podcast. So I wish you the best health, happiness, and also success. And I also hope that you're going to remind yourself when you're going to be remembered, which basically means your legacy, which means being a nice person and then also going to be remembered as a nice person. 3 questions additionally to that are: why are you here? What are you trying to change? And what is bothering you the most? These 3 questions are hopefully going to show you your purpose and maybe even a business idea, since a lot of companies started out with solving something that really pissed them off in the first place. But yeah, with that being said, I wish you the best. Please consider subscribing, and so that I'm going to see you the next time, because I hope I do so. I see you.